Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Friendswood, who is a CPA by profession. He is a God-fearing man of Christ. He's pro-family. He's pro-life. And with your help, he'll be the next congressman from the 14th District, Chris Peden.
This is probably going to be unlike a lot of political speeches, and I had to come up here because once you get Onslow going, it's really difficult to stop. I'm going to try to be brief with my comments today because I want to reserve as much time for questions as I can. I think for far too long, the issues of this district have gone unheard by your congressman, and I think it's time that the person who's going to represent you, which I firmly believe will be me, needs to know what you believe and think. And you need to ask me questions so you know what I believe and think. Because I have one overriding interest in this race. If I do not represent you, don't vote for me. It's really pretty simple. If the occupant there represents you better than me, all you have to do is vote for him. I don't believe that's true, and I want to articulate that to you today. To give any questions, please answer. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem in Friendswood. A few years back, I continued to get tax increases in the mail, and my parents, who lived very close to us, decided that they could no longer afford over $1,000 a month in property taxes, and they relocated out, which is only about 15 miles away, but it's about a 35-minute drive, and they used to live, 2 minutes, and we had dinner together most nights, and we saw them every day. I knew they were getting a square meal, and they were taking their medication, all that stuff. And high taxes took that relationship away from me. Now, if you think taxes aren't a big issue to you, you wait till it begins to impact your personal life. And so I got enough. I ran for city council. We've lowered taxes 3 years in a row, the lowest tax rate we've had in 10 years. In fact, the year after I got elected, one of the best things that I've ever done in my life is when I opened that budget, there's brackets around the change in taxes. We actually collected less property taxes a year after I got elected than we did before, including new homes and new businesses and growth. You can do it. While we've been doing that, we even refunded 10% of your previous year tax bill this last year, which means if you paid $1,000 in property tax in the city, you got a $100 check back. Now, we did that while we added more than 20% to the police force. We built a new police station, built a new fire station, added a new fire truck, a new ambulance. Our EMS is ranked #1 in the state. And we put about $4.5 million in drainage projects because as a member of a municipal body, it doesn't do a whole lot of good to have lots of police if you got water in your living room. So we fixed all of these problems while we were lowering taxes. Now, my opponent in this race will talk a good talk, but I've got results. There's a difference between results and rhetoric. But that's what we've done. In my professional life, I'm a CPA. I started my practice in 1996 to where it is today. My wife and I, my wife works there as well. We make a good living doing your tax returns, which I find somehow offensive. The government makes you do something, and then you got to pay me to do it for you because it's so complicated you can't do it for yourself. That's insanity, folks. All of these bright minds out there doing tax returns now should be out there teaching businesses and business owners how to be more competitive, more efficient, more effective, and more competitively or globally competitive, and to build and strengthen our economy, not telling you how much tax you owe. We ought to have a much fairer and more simple tax code. I think the fair tax is the way to go. My opponent, I'm sorry, there's so much to say. My opponent says the fair tax is good, but it doesn't go far enough. Folks, we can't govern like that. In about 435 people up there making decisions, when do you think you're going to get everything you want? The answer is never. And if you're going to wait to vote yes until you completely agree with everything, then you're going to keep voting no. That's right. And we have to have someone up there that will, and I'll give you a prime example of one of the differences between me and my opponent. They wanted to have a tree ordinance in Friendswood that would require you to pull a permit to trim the trees in your own yard. I find that a violation of your Constitution, personally. It's your private property. So I didn't have the votes to stop that bill. I'm sorry. There were 4 people that were strongly in favor of that. So you know what I did? I began to whittle away with amendments to that tree ordinance until we basically took all of its teeth out. And now it only applies to developers who develop large lots of land. That's what governance is all about. Then I voted against the bill, but I voted for all the amendments. That's the way you do government, folks, in a legislative body, and that's what we need in Congress in the 14th District.